Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sunrise Extra. Let's walk into the newsroom, huh? I'm really in the dark. Well, we're leaving. Let's get out of here anyways. Come on. Hey, Drew, Brenda, say hi to Sunrise Extra.
I didn't know I was staying here. I thought we were doing our thing in here. Not today.
Well, we're going to talk with Morgan first.
That's a great plan. Do it. Go do it.
Drew, I'm going to pull you in.
Oh.
Follow me.
I don't know the plan at all.
I know. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of this show is behind the scenes. We don't know what's going on.
Of the beholder.
Hey, come on in here to the beautiful newsroom. Good morning, everyone. Morgan Romero, how are you, my dear?
Good. Are we already on?
Thank you for waking up early with us. Let's turn some lights on. How do we do that? That. There. That might be the wrong color.
Are we already on? Is it already going?
Oh, this is it.
Oh, you hear Drew talking too.
This is it.
Morgan. Morgan is one of our newest KGW investigators. How are you liking Portland so far, really quick?
I love Portland. I could go on and on. You know, I've been spending much of my time in Forest Park.
Love it. Yeah. Are you a runner?
Runner.
Okay.
Yeah. And moved here from Boise, so obviously a very outdoorsy area, and Portland is too. I love it here.
Yeah. Forest Park. I mean, you could get lost there. It's the largest city park, largest
urban
park in the city limits.
Wow. Isn't it like 5,400 acres?
Sure.
Just go get lost.
Sure,
go.
Like that.
Can we camp there?
So Morgan is here this morning. You had a special investigation on women in the marijuana industry, and just like with any business or kind of corporate world, because now marijuana is getting very corporate,
which is
a lot of money to be made.
Yeah, interesting to say.
It's getting harder.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women in the business, but it's kind of going down. Your story was saying. So I just feel like, you know, this is in every industry that we face, but right now is like the time for women, you know, women's empowerment. To kind of give us a quick summary of your investigation, a longer form of it is airing tonight at 6 o'clock on KGW. But tell us the gist of what's happening, because there's a really cool kind of incubator program in Portland.
Right. So really the story sparked because we were talking about it in a morning meeting just on a general assignment day turn story. One of our producers had said, hey, you know, the statistic came out. We saw an article somewhere talking about how in 2015, when marijuana first became legal medicinally, right, before it was ever legal recreationally here in Oregon in particular, the number of women in executive roles in the cannabis industry, because we say the cannabis industry, and I'll elaborate on that in a moment, but the number of women in the cannabis industry was 36%, which still is not gender parity, right? Still, it's not 51 or 50%, but it's higher than the national average, which is 23%. Then you look at the numbers from 2017, so I haven't seen any numbers as recent as 18 or 19, but from 2017, that number fell down to 27%. So it's a pretty significant fall.
And why? I mean, is that because people are realizing that there's millions of dollars to be made in this? And so, I mean, people are jumping ship from traditional companies into this?
Well, there's a number of factors, and the story touched on that in Sunrise, and it's also going to touch on that at 6 p.m. There's kind of a multitude of reasons. One of them is, okay, so this industry is now getting a little bit less risky. It's now becoming a lot more popular for people from other industries to jump in. Hemp and weed is just kind of socially acceptable. So what's happening is when the industry first started out, there were a lot of mom and pop businesses, you know, these little micro businesses where anyone could be a CEO, anyone was a founder. You've got little dispensaries down in Salem and just, you know, small businesses everywhere in these legal states. As the industry, as I said, has gotten more socially acceptable, those businesses have been pushed out because these large aggregates are coming in, these bigger companies are buying up the smaller companies, and it's just getting so competitive that these businesses are just being pushed out. So that's one of the reasons. And then another reason, as you said, mainstream money. So people are coming.
You have to have investors, basically. Really, there are more pot shops, we were talking about this, than Starbucks in Oregon. I mean, dispensaries. And so you're flooding the market with it. You know, it's gonna filter out, and you know the big companies are gonna win based on just size. You know, I mean, it's cheaper for them to operate a bigger company and more locations than, you know, mom and pop stores trying to compete. So a lot of those people are getting pushed out. And the big company owners, they're guys usually.
They're guys. So the problem is, you know, marijuana is still not federally regulated. So most big banks and most marijuana or cannabis business owners are not receiving traditional lending. So what do you do when you can't get traditional lending? You have to go after venture capital dollars. So as any startup would, you've got to get investors right off the bat. And when, as I mentioned, you have these men and these CEOs from bigger companies, whether it's, Ambev or it's, I want to say Coca-Cola, but maybe anecdotal. There's a lot of big corporations that people are jumping ship and coming to cannabis because it's so lucrative. So when you've got to lock in venture capital dollars and you're a man,
you're going to hire your friends who are men.
Yeah, 98% of the pie goes to you as a man and 2% goes to females. And so if you're a man and you're going to start a cannabis industry or business or you're going to be a CEO, you are going to hire other men and men are going to invest in you.
So tell me about this incubator program in Portland. You talked to at least 2 women who are going through it and a very prominent attorney who's heavily involved in the cannabis industry. What is this program doing for these women in these smaller companies?
So Amy Margolis, as you mentioned, very prominent attorney here. She spearheaded a couple organizations here in Oregon to kind of get people connected and really what this program is. It's called the Initiative, and it helps support women, it helps network women, and essentially helps make women wealthy. And when we say cannabis industry, that's anything. That's ancillary services. That's also the growers. It's the dispensaries. It's the attorneys. It's the labs. It's the graphic designers. I mean, it's a plethora of things. And so the women I talk to in this particular cohort, they go through this program at the Initiative for 3 months, and it's very intensive. And Amy and people who present teach them how to get venture capital dollars and how to pitch to investors. And really, like we were talking about earlier,
they should open this up to,
every business.
It doesn't really have to specifically do with cannabis, but I mean, what a great idea for really any kind of business. Of you need money. What's the best way to get it?
And Amy's brilliant. And the women in this program, she doesn't go for companies that just started. Essentially, she goes for companies that are already on their feet. So it's, like I said, 12-week program that really focuses on, if you're poised for success, how do we get you to the next level where you can get money to fund your next step? So Barberry, one of the businesses we highlight, 2 young gals that were college buddies, and they want to move on to herbal spliff. So what they do is
What's that?
Well, they microdose. So it's really they have these tea blends, these herbal tea blends, and then they incorporate marijuana in that because they want smaller dosages than just a normal joint. Or any normal something that you'd get elsewhere.
It's just camera J,
just popcorn
things.
But so they're moving on to create these spliffs, and they really want to get investor dollars in there so they can keep pushing forward with their business. And then there's Leaf Goods. They're really already so successful. They have like a high-end confection line of edibles. So again, poised for success and just wanted to boost them to the next level and lock in venture capital.
It's such a broad industry. I mean, you think about
It
how
is.
alcohol, started way back when, and where we are now. I mean, there's spritzers and there's boxed wine, and there's, like Mike's Hard Lemonade and beer and craft beer, and it's the same for marijuana. You know, I mean, there's all different ways to consume it. It is getting, more mainstream, even though people may not admit to their friends or the workplace that they're using it. But it is fascinating. There's lots of avenues to make money. But I mean, everyone's going to try and get in the game, and then you're just going to be weeded out, and that's capitalism,
That's capital, and it is becoming a capitalist industry. It's becoming very mainstream, but still, I do want to mention with the Initiative, focused on women, getting those investors interested. There is still hope. I don't want it to make it sound hopeless, because a lot of these women I talked to said they don't experience this maybe intrinsic sexism, and they don't necessarily feel like they're being discriminated against, but they do feel the industry is still so new and there's so much opportunity. It's still burgeoning that they can get in on the ground level. They can create equity, they can create inclusivity. You've just got to flip it around. Instead of the number declining to 27%, you've got to push that back up, and it's programs like the Initiative, that are going to get women to that point.
And I think, also another topic in this is not just women, but minorities and people of color who have traditionally made up the majority of arrests when this was, illegal and a crime. And you know, a lot of minorities now can't get into the business, or it's harder for them, just for the same reasons,
right,
I'm assuming, as it is for women. So long way to go. But it's very cool to hear that Portland has this, you know, incubator program. We should open this up for all kinds of businesses.
And in every state, and that's the mission. You know, that is to, if you can get several businesses multiple times a year and do it in multiple places where cannabis is legal, maybe you could flip that trend. Maybe you could have a brand unicorn and have some real success stories in there where women are at the forefront of this new industry.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Morgan, thank you so much. Are you working on anything else that you can kind of give us a hint about? Any other investigations?
Yeah, well, one investigation that's going to be airing, I'm not entirely sure exactly when, but it's on the so popular topic of squatters.
Oh, okay.
So
this
houses.
Is like abandoned homes or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with not necessarily homes that are like foreclosed, maybe as prominent as it was during the recession, but more so this one story I'm highlighting is about a woman who died and had no legitimate heirs that they could pass the house on to.
And so the house just sat there.
Sat there, and in the process of the state.
Does the bank then take control of it? But they probably don't do much with it.
Oregon State Department of Lands.
Department of State Lands.
Thank you, yes. So they got an attorney involved, attorneys searching for heirs, and in the meantime, squatters move in and call it home. And my investigation really uncovers what is so difficult about getting these people out. Essentially, you have to get a court order, which is shocking.
Who owns it? And then the neighbors complain, but they don't really have any legitimate claim to the property.
No.
Interesting. Okay, do you guys have any other questions? You know, on I forgot to put my other phone with the Instagram questions. Donald checking in from Louisiana. Good morning, Donald. Hello. Jeff Borden has a question, not about cannabis. With thousands of pounds of extra marijuana each year in Oregon, shouldn't the price be way down for users? It has dropped a lot since recreational weed first went on the market. I mean, it's not free, but yeah, we have a ton of extra. It is true. Donna checking in from Estacada. Linda from Pendleton. Pendleton whiskey here. Yes.
I do want to mention, speaking of his comment, so Homegrown Dispensary, which I also highlight in my story, and you'll learn more about them at 6. They talked a lot about how the industry is oversaturated and how that's obviously pushing people out as well, particularly in Oregon. We have way too much flower, and profit margins are going down. So if you're not making money like you initially thought you would,
you're going to close.
Why would you stay open when you can't compete with these big businesses?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It's very interesting. Morgan, thank you so much. Anything else you want to add?
Yes, I do want to mention we are going to do a Facebook Live with Mary Lou Burton. She's, I'm told, the godmother of cannabis. I'm sure you know her.
I know her well, and she's put on many of the cannabis conventions here in town. She brought in Cliff Robinson, former trailblazer, who's starting his own cannabis line, and hemp products and stuff. And she knows a lot about the industry, so she'll be great.
She'll be great.
What time is that on?
That's going to be roughly noon. She's coming in at noon, so maybe a little bit after, but we can, you know, her and I will talk similarly about what we just went over, and then kind of previewing that story airing tonight at 6.
At 6 o'clock. So tune in on KGW's Facebook page around noon for Morgan talking more about this. Thank you so much for waking up early. She's here with possibly a bad cold, so
you know we push through it on TV.
Yeah, we appreciate
we drink this.
Yeah. All right. Let's go over to the big board over here. I'm going to grab my phone. Hey, Drew Carney.
Yes.
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 Are you mad that I didn't include you right there?
No, I'm really working hard now on my next day's assignment. You know?
Oh, what is that? Can you give us a sneak peek?
Don't look, Jay. This is exclusive video.
Oh, you went to the basketball courts.
You know
okay.
So we're just doing a little follow-up on Dame's shot. And we gave people yesterday the opportunity to deliver the play-by-play call on Damian Lillard's game-winning shot. Hey, you know what? Pull up a chair. Have a seat with me.
Thank you.
Yep. Sit down. Enjoy the conversation.
Okay, so they got to be like a play-by-play announcer?
So, but the question is, you know, time is always a factor when doing stories like these because our shift starts early, you know, 3:30. We're trying to get out of here by noon. So I had to go out and do this at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Where on a Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning am I going to find a collection of people who are Blazers fans? You said Irving Park.
Did you have luck?
One guy.
One guy?
Hung out there for 20 minutes.
Was he playing horse by himself?
He was playing basketball by himself. Now, guess what? He was good. He was fun. He was terrific, but he was one guy.
Okay.
So your next suggestion actually was a good one. After we left Irving Park, we went over to the Nike store on MLK. And just people coming in and out of that store, it just seemed like everyone saw the shot, cared about the shot, and had an opinion on it.
Good.
So that worked out well, and it was pretty fun. most of the people we talked to was like, oh, you know, they were fine talking about the shot. They were great recalling what was going through their heads when the shot went through. But when I said, all right, now you be the play-by-play person, they was like, I can't do that. I can't do that.
It's like being an auctioneer where you have to learn to like talk fast, you know.
But we gave him a chance to practice, and then I said, okay, now this is the part we're actually going to show on TV, and I think it'll be fun. So that's tomorrow morning on our Sunrise show. We'll show the fans' call of Damian Lillard's shot heard around the basketball world.
Okay, so I want you to hang around because we are weighing in on our viewer voice poll from earlier this morning. So it was California is, oh, well, of course I don't have that sheet.
Are you bringing me in on the hair discrimination?
So,
I wish Morgan was still here for this. Morgan Romero, you have to go back on the end and talk about hair.
Is that, oh, okay.
Hair discussion.
So we had, yeah, the poll, and what was it, 39%? Oh, it's up here. Jay, I know that's like
I'll read it there.
Would you support a law
preventing hairstyle discrimination? So far, 39% of our viewers are saying yes, they would, but the majority, Nina, 61%, as a matter of fact, say no, they would not support a law that prevents hairstyle discrimination. But I think a lot of people are probably reading this and going, what the heck are you talking about?
What do you mean?
So we mean
hairstyles that could be linked to historically.
Well,
what am I trying to say?
Well, it's basically a discriminatory situation.
It means like dreadlocks or braids, you know.
I don't even think it has to do with mohawks.
I don't think
Rod.
mohawks.
Rod's trying to chime in from behind the camera.
That's what I was asking, though. Like, would a mohawk or men's long hair, would that be included? But I think it's tied to race.
Well, I will tell you that.
So I don't know.
I was talking. I won't say any names, so I don't think that they'll mind me sharing this account, and I won't even say when this story was shared with me. But a colleague of mine who is African American who said, you know, naturally, she has curly hair.
Yeah.
The boss one time said to her, "I like your hair better when it's straight."
Yeah.
Now, if you work in the news business, you will have news directors that tell you anything from, I like you better wearing a tie, I like you better without a tie, I like you when you wear that salmon dress, I don't like it when you wear that white dress.
Right.
So they have, you know, news directors are going to have opinions on appearance. And so this particular news director said, I like it better when you straighten your hair, and she thought, you know what, that's actually kind of a racial statement because my hair, naturally, because of my race, is curly.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yes.
are you talking about me?
No, I just said I'm not.
I had to come over here because I thought I heard my name.
How did I preface? No, you did not hear your name. How did I preface that? I'm not going to say.
I have a story.
I'm not going to say when this was said, by who this was said, or where this was said. I never mentioned your name.
But it was Brenda.
I heard, so I was like, wait a minute.
Okay, so tell us the
I
story.
was talking about Brenda. It was a great story that really kind of gave. Look at me, I'm turning red now because I did not want to dime you out.
Sorry, that's
okay.
no. You know what?
But you're no, I don't want people to see how red I am, Jay.
No,
But your
let her
example
tell the story.
actually, I thought, brought to light for me what the heck this law was talking about.
I have so many things to say about this because first, I
Yeah, say all you want. You don't have a mic.
Oh, dang it.
Just to show you that we're still getting along. You can talk into my mic.
That's good.
Okay, so first of all, I don't want you to turn red because I think this is part of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
People get uncomfortable talking about anything that has to do with race, and I don't think we should. I think it should be a non-judgment zone. So
I get
you shouldn't
uncomfortable
feel
talking about
embarrassed.
race and sex and a lot of things.
Well,
Money.
I don't think we
Well,
should.
you don't want to say the wrong thing,
Yes.
and you know, and we know you don't mean that, but like,
Yes.
you know what I mean.
I don't-
Okay, so tell me the story because this was a long time
this
ago.
was back when I had long curly hair, and I used to blow it out like yours, and then I started wearing it curly, so I have ringlets. And my news director came over, and he said, I don't really like the curls. It looks kind of messy. And he said, I liked it better when you straightened it. Can you straighten it? And I thought to him, I didn't think to him. I looked at him, and I thought, I was a little taken aback because I thought it looked nice and professional, but he had a very distinct point of view, and I left it curly. I kind of nodded at him, but I didn't change my hairstyle. So here's the thing with that.
I watched you for years. I mean, you had a curly hair for a while, yeah.
But here's the thing. I think that implicit in what I took him to say, I never challenged him, so I don't know how he really felt, but implicit is a style of beauty that is the norm in the culture. Right? I look at some of the basketball players even now with all this crazy hair and dreads and various things that they do to their African American hair. And I think I was born in the wrong era, because that's what I would have liked to have done. But it was Farrah Fawcett era back in the 70s, and it was long and straight, and that's not what I have.
Right.
But I looked around, and that was the norm, the style, the kind of standard of beauty. And I think that's the problem, is when it's implicit that you should look a certain way. Well, you should look like Nina, and I get to look like Brenda and Drew.
Right.
And so I think that's sometimes what people of color feel, is that it's like, this is the way I look. Do you, I mean, let's go Angelina Jolie. She brought these really full lips. Again, that was, when I had full lips, that was not a thing that was like coveted back in the day. So things change. But I do think that we all kind of go into it with a little bit of our own experiences based on how we grew up and what we think.
It was great that you shared that story with me in private. I think it was wonderful that I started to share your story in public without naming you, and then you put your name to it. But because earlier I was thinking, really, who's discriminating? Who's letting these people know that they're discriminating against them because of their hair? Because I figured if you're an employer and you don't want to hire someone because they say they have dreadlocks, for example, or cornrows, do you tell that person, hey, I'd hire you, but you know, those cornrows, it's just not working for me? Or would you just say, I'm sorry, we're going with another candidate, call it good, and you wouldn't know why they didn't pick you, you know what I mean? But you made a great example of, you know, some people don't even probably realize what they're doing or what they're saying or how they're being offensive when they tell you their opinion.
So here's the question. We have laws on the books against racial discrimination. Does there need to be this other law in California that specifies it down to hairstyle? I wonder. And I wonder if that's maybe why we have 60% saying no, maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, so there's
I think we just have to, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on the law, but I do think that we need to stop jumping on each other every time you say something that I don't like, or I say something you don't like. It's like, you've got to have the conversation, because I mean, I even feel that way. It's like, there's things that I don't know, but if you tell me your perspective, it gives me just a little more like, oh, okay. I'm going to tuck that around. I get it. That's a new nugget of information that I didn't have before.
I always looked at things like, you know, if there was a potential employer who didn't hire me for a reason that had to do with my appearance, I wouldn't take it as, you know what, that's wrong. You can't do that for me. I'm gonna fight this. I'd take it as, you know what, I didn't want to work for that person, and I'm glad they showed their true colors early on, and I'm moving on. Maybe you should fight it more for the next person. But my take has always been, you know what, this is who I am. If you don't want to hire me for any reason that has to do with me personally, then I'm out, and that's a wrong on you. But I wouldn't fight it or think you're breaking the law. I would just say, you're the idiot, and I'm glad I'm not working for you.
Yeah, there are a lot of different perspectives. I don't have the definitive answer. I just came over because I heard my story. Bye-bye.
Thank you for weighing in.
We sit next to each other in the newsroom. How's that going to be the rest of the day?
What? Is it not good?
You're not in trouble.
You
It's
tell
okay.
me.
You're totally not in trouble.
Thank you.
No.
I didn't share your name. Never would, without your
He's
permission.
very sensitive.
I'm not sensitive. I'm just making sure that you know that I would not do that to you. I can't believe we're having this conversation with all of you on our social channels.
Extra is. No.
Extra nonsense.
This was a really good
We're hugging?
conversation, I think. Oh.
It's not over. It's not over.
You okay ending the show now? Hey, you're okay with me. Thanks,
Just to
buddy.
make sure they don't get in trouble later, Rod, can you, we're going to make this a full team thing. I'm not picking people for any reason. I'm picking everyone.
Come on.
We're hugging.
We're hugging?
right.
We're hugging.
We're hugging.
I don't know if I feel comfortable.
That
You really
does
have
it
to
for,
hug?
Sunrise
Gentle.
Extra.
Be gentle, Nina. Gentle.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, that's
at 7
actually quite
a.m. Have a
lovely.
great
Thank
day.
you.
You won't stand up and hug me? You're not going to stand up and hug me.
Oh my gosh.
That's offensive.
Boy, that got